think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. You know, I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wanted to fight me? Who?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter beat me.
My goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. How y'all doing out there? How y'all doing out there, man? It's Sunday, man. Sunday fun day, right? I figure, man, I had I took a couple days off, man. I was kind of interested in what was going to happen with the Lorenzo Truck Simpson and Jihad Tucker fight. Or shall I say Jihad Tucker versus Lorenzo Truck Simpson. And my prediction was spot on, man. It was kind of bittersweet for me, man, because Truck from Baltimore, but I'm one of them guys that can actually, even though he from Baltimore, I actually called it the way it needed to be called, and I was basically saying that since Truck had been at the higher weight class, he probably spent most of the time in a fat camp. Jihad's been more active, and I love Coach Kenny. That's my man, 50 grand. He was basically saying we're gonna stop this kid and stuff like that. And it's like that's what kind of separate me as a boxing fan from a lot of people who are involved in these cliques. They have these little cliques and camps and stuff like that. That's why it's like I love camps when they're talking about other fighters, other fighters, other boxers out there, because that's when you really get an honest take. But you got to read between the lines even with that. I'll be dabbling in that tonight as I talk about the boots aspect. Why I don't really be over there at the Rise, man. I kind of learned early, man, going over there, that it get kind of cultish, you know what I'm saying? And for a man that want to just speak straight boxing talk, because I know me as a content creator, I don't know what it is, man, but I go certain places, man, and I don't know if people see me as a threat or they think I'm trying. I don't know what people think. I try to tell people I'm one of the most genuine people. Genuineness, if I can make up a word, the most genuine people out here, man. If I'm over there rocking with you, I'm rocking with you. You know what I'm saying? If I'm commenting and I'm saying something, it's because I'm rocking with you. It's like I like something. Even if I don't agree with everything, we gotta at least have, if I'm over there on a regular basis, we gotta at least have an 80-20 relationship where I'm rocking with 80% of the stuff that you're saying. It's just the 20% that I don't. But I was in this vein the other day of talking about boots, talking about Brian Norman. I was in this vein the other day, man. It's like, man, I've seen 3 other channels do the same exact video after that. Only 2 of the channels, they have some kind of affiliation. But I'm like, you gotta be on it when you can do a video one day, and after that, another channel does a video saying the same thing, only I don't have the sources. Only I don't have the sources. I've been broke this down a long time ago before I even had the proof with Rachel Donaire being over there with Ness. Before I had that proof in another fashion. We already knew. I know me and AC was talking about it. We talked about it a while ago. We were starting to get exhausted, and I started saying, look, man, I'm gonna stop talking to people about it, because the people that refuse to admit what was really going on, it's just because they don't want to admit what's going on. Because there's an affiliation, there's an attachment, there's a familiarity, there's a bias, an inherent bias, which, like I just said, man, I love, man, listen. I used to be places super chatting with the best of them. I'll be in there commenting with the best of them. But it's something about I've lost people, or I start seeing people acting funny. One, because people talk about me elsewhere. And then two, if I agree with 8 out of the 10 things you said, they will harp on the 2 things when I be like, nah, you tripping. And I ain't got time for it. I don't really got time to be explaining. I don't got time for all of that, man. I'm trying to level up. You know what I'm saying? It's like get right or get left. You know, we all realize that people are like elevators, man. They're either going to take you up or take you down. And I'm trying to ascend. I'm trying to go to another level. That's one of the reasons why I love the Philadelphia Eagles. Part of it is symbolism, man. An eagle. You don't see a whole bunch of them together because people can't go to heights that most eagles can go. It's just not an environment. Like, you don't see a bunch of pigeons with no eagles. You know what I'm saying? You just don't, man. So I've been comfortable with, I've been like that all my life, man. But part of that is actually telling the truth, being honest, having a backbone. That's why I say, man, on the outside looking in, even with my fellow Baltimoreans, man, they have my heart. I made so many videos, man, debunking and swiping away and, you know, putting stakes in the ground for Tank and the whole clique. You know what I'm saying? I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop doing that. It's just sometimes when you have affiliations, or if you try to have affiliations, there's so many messed up people out here in the world that it'll get misconstrued. But in my analysis, I was basically saying that Jahai was going to do his thing. And even though I was pulling for Truck, man, I was kind of sad looking at Truck like that, man. I had so many questions. That's the other thing. I had a lot of questions back when I seen Truck with the Haneys. I was like, man, 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 you know what I'm saying? I had so many questions, you know what I'm saying? But if you ask that, they're going to think, oh, you're trying to cause dissension amongst the ranks. No, it's like I had questions. It's like, why are they being like, that's kind of awkward, right? You know, so part of me was just like, I don't know what's going on. I seen him, the last time I had seen him, he had his arm was in a sling. And I've been watching Jahai. I've been saying, man, people been actually like ducking Jahai. You know, I was the one who came out and said one day, I was like, man, what if Tim Bradley had to call a fight with the Drunken Master? Because I noticed every time Jahai fight, man, Tim Bradley would just slaughter him on technique and all. That's he's not that kind of fighter, man. He got his own style. That's what's so interesting about the boxing world. He got his own style. It's like, yeah, some of his fundamentals could be better, but golly, man, you're there to commentate the fight. But this is all in the vein. I'm not just rambling. This is all in the vein of where I'm going with this. People have their picks. People have their inherent biases. People have their blind, loyal, silly affiliations with certain people. Like Tim, he has his picks over there at Top Rank. It's not all even. Everybody don't even in a corporate setting where you have all the facts, you want all these guys to get paid, you want all these guys to leave the game with all their faculties. People still have picks. It's like no matter what you do, they're gonna move the goalpost. They're gonna discredit the opponent. They're gonna accuse you of cheating. And like I said, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I stopped going to certain place. I stopped going and stopped hanging around a certain place when Fundora did that to Lubin. And Lubin is one of my guys. I have been pulling this back when he was with Coach Kevin Cunningham. He's been with this other guy down in Pro Box for a while. But this was back when he was with Coach Kevin Cunningham. And I think Coach Kevin Cunningham is one of the unsung heroes in boxing. I think that he do not get the credit he deserves. Man, I hope that he get his star. I hope he get his key player, man, before he decide he just want to live life and stop boxing, you know. But I was pulling for Lubin because I said, man, he went through the ringer after the whole Jermell Charlo thing, man. And Fundora is one of my guys. I called him the landlord in my boxers to watch. You know, right after Fundora did that to Lubin, the certain camp came out and was talking about Fundora's gloves and cheating. Like right after, I said, man, nah, we can't do that. I said, we can't do that, man. I said, what if they, and this is coming from probably the one of the top Tank fans out here. It's a lot of people that done flip-flop over to the Tank side. You know, there's a lot of people that done fell out, duked it out, hashed it out when they was all on the DHP train. Now you would think that they were bigger fans of Tank than me. I don't even care to debate about it. You know what I'm saying? But you all know who've been holding stakes in the ground, especially for Tank. This channel has been since day one. But I said, man, we can't do that. Because what if somebody was accusing Tank of something like that? We would be going ham. So the other day when Tim Bradley did the thing and I put it on that video, it made me sit down and think. Like always, you know, I always be thinking, but it made me sit down and think, and I was just like, if the shoe was on the other foot. And then I said, you know, let's take it a step further. Not if the shoe was on the other foot. Let's play the game of when the shoe was on the other foot. You know, because I didn't know how I was going to talk about this again. I wanted to kind of check the landscape, peep the scene, hear what the people were saying. There's still some dusty ass folks out here riding around with the same dumbass narrative, even though the truth has been out there. You heard in depth. You heard Rachel. Like you could actually you can gather everything you needed to know. You know, it's almost like a certain set of, let's just say a certain set of philosophies that's embodied in the I guess probably the most popular book that's sold in the world. There's a whole bunch of parables and analogies and all these things, right? But if you can pull one piece out and you can prove that one piece of that is untrue, it's a house of cards and everything else falls. So when you pull out this one piece about Rachel talking to Daryl Peoples, the president of IBF, asking him if that fight could have went through, if you pull that out and he says absolutely not, there's zero chances, there's no exceptions. Like this is, we talking about the IBF. People will talk about how stinky the IBF is when, you know, a fighter gets stripped, and like we seen how Jermell Charlo got treated. We seen what happened with Bud. We seen that whole thing where Skull got that belt and all this. So they can recognize it in that, but they are strict. That's one of the reasons why you gotta respect them, because they enforce their rules. They do that thing. But if you can pull that one piece out, the whole argument of everything else, it starts to landslide down, and that's what's happening. And instead of coming out, embracing the truth, you know what I'm saying, and actually saying what it is, man, the whole boot side, they won't do it. I don't know what they think they stand to lose, because you still have dumbass fans that you can just toss around like rocks and just throw them over there and they'll just stay. Why? Because they just want to be down like Brandy. What are you talking about, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you right. Listen. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. We know gaslighting is at an all-time high. We do. But when it comes down to this whole the shoe on the other foot, because that's what this video was about. What if the boot was on the other foot? What if the boot was on the other foot? What if? What if we replaced Brian Norman with boots? What if we did an old Eddie Murphy, old trading places? If we did old trading places and we went down this timeline and we, you know, the Lemony Snickets, I call it the Lemony Snickets chain of events, right? Of everything that Boots did, we just swap places, we trade places, and the shoe was on the other foot. Will Brian Norman be getting the grace? Will people be capping and caping for Brian Norman? I think not. I think not. The shoe was on the other foot is an idiom. It's an idiom. It's an idiom that enlightens idiots. You know what I'm saying? It's an idiom that enlightens idiots. That means the situation has reversed, especially when someone who was previously in a better or more powerful position is now in a worse one. It signifies a shift in circumstances where the tables have turned. For example, if someone used to be the boss and is now being managed by someone they used to manage, you could say the shoe is on the other foot. The idiom is often used to describe a situation where someone has now experienced the same negative consequences or challenges that they once inflicted on others. The origin of the phrase is uncertain, but it is thought to have originated in the 19th century, possibly from the feeling of discomfort when wearing a shoe on the wrong foot. Well, guess what? We talking about a boot, man. You know, you probably, you had to be, you might have been, if you're average, you know, I'm just say average. You ain't gotta be no high level thinker. You ain't gotta be no exceptional type person, but you had to be younger than, you had to probably be about 4, since you actually went out somewhere and walked around with your shoe on the wrong foot. Well, we talking about boot. I ain't never put a boot on the wrong foot. Every now and again, you go to put your foot in your slippers, you know, you might walk to the bathroom, like, hold on, man. But when you first put your foot in there, you already know it's not right. And everybody affiliated with the Boots camp, man, they really been putting their foot in their mouth, man. It's kind of a shame, but I've been thinking about it. And I have many, many, many examples, just like the shoe on the other foot. Like, real quick. When I was in the Army, right? I tell part of the story all the time, but when I was in the Army, I left Korea, right? I was an E5 promotable. I was just waiting on points. I was getting ready to make E6. This was my 5th year. I had already did my first enlistment. I had done 4, signed up to go to Korea for 18 months. I got over there, I was just waiting on points. Got myself in some trouble. Got busted. You know what I'm saying? Got bust down to a specialist. But when I went over there, I had 5 soldiers that worked for me. So I went over there, I had my little clan, you know what I'm saying? I had my soldiers. So when they bust me down, just like this shoe on the other foot, when they bust me down, I had 5 soldiers and they switched. It went from me having 5 soldiers to me working for one of my soldiers. Yeah. How would you deal with that? Have you ever faced that kind of adversity in your life? Well, I have. And guess what I did? Everything I was supposed to do. Because guess what? When I finally got away from there, when I finally got out of Korea, I still soldiered on. I did everything that it took for me to get to become a sergeant. Even to go to the board to make my E6. What I do? I just kept soldiering, and guess what? My next deployment, when I was in Iraq, I went back to the board. and I actually made it back to sergeant again. That's adversity. Like, so when I talk about these young guys and them making mistakes, that's why I try not to focus on a lot of the stuff that happens outside the ring, because a lot of them are young. You know, a lot of them have more money. They're experiencing more success than most people out here in the world would ever experience. I tend not to forget that I was a young man myself making mistakes. So you might want to realize that when I talk about boxing, I really don't really care about a lot of the outside the ring stuff, but I do care about the things that happen inside the ring, and I try to cater everything that I do and say towards us getting the big fights, towards me keeping an accurate pulse. That's why I call this the pulse of boxing. An accurate pulse of where boxing at, how this one's moving, why this person ain't getting the attention they deserve, how foul these promoters are, regardless of who they're affiliated with. That's why I say I have no reason to come out here and try to, because I'm not going to be part of no clique. I'm not going to be part of no clan. I'm not going to join no network. I'm not going to sit on Santa Claus' lap. I'm not going to let you vampire me. We can work together. But I won't be vampire, man. I won't be vampire, man. It's a lot of that going on online, man. A lot of people be you can't even call it stealing because it's intellectual property, but a lot of people be doing the same shit that other people be doing after they do it. But let me tell y'all something, man. It is there is a, as we break this down, there is an on-code committee. There's an on-code committee, right? And there are certain people that the boxing world, YouTubers, they're going to stay on code for. Right? They're not, Brian Norman hasn't made it yet. Why? Because people are still questioning who he is and whatever. It's like, even though, you know, he's showing who he is at this stage, he shows all of the potential to be, you know, a star. He went international. He's making highlight reels. But because of people's affiliation with certain fighters that's on the on-code committee, the boxers that's associated with the on-code committee, like, he's not, until they can actually like monetize off of him, until they can feel like they can support the man without offending a whole nother camp, they're not going to do it. It's a thing called pre-pro, right? On these shows, it's a thing called pre-pro. So in the pre-pro, which basically pre-programming, right? Because when you do go to a show, they basically trying to program you. Me, I'm not trying to program you. I'm just trying to rewire a couple of loose ends in your medulla oblongata. I'm trying to set the record straight. I'm trying to put stakes in the ground for those who don't really deserve it. And if you look at my channel, you'll see that I do that. Like when Sabril Matias was getting the unfair shake, I was on that. Richardson Hitchens, I was on that. A lot of these guys who not getting the fair shake, who should be talked about, just like I be on that. I come out and do my tank videos, you know, when it's necessary. I come out and do my Spence video, but like, I want them guys to where my guys ain't doing nothing. I'm not just gonna make up nothing. Like, I'm not just gonna make up nothing on Spence. I'm just not gonna make up nothing on Mel. I'm not gonna make up something on these boxers that I really rock with just because, like, I need to get a super chat or something. I'm not gonna do it. So I was watching the whole Brian Norman thing, man, and speaking on it in real time. Even though I'm not a front runner, I'm still speaking on it in real time. And I was outlining all of the things that he's done and how he's looking. And I had the reason that Boots did not move up because of weight. Boots did not move up because he was busting at the seams, and yeah, he probably allowed himself to, you know what I'm saying, let go a little bit more, because you did, when you seen him, you know, his jaws do look You know, his face do look kind of fat, like in these interviews. He looked like he didn't gave himself permission to let himself go a little bit so he can cut, which is it can kind of backfire on you too. I've seen it to where fighters go up one weight class, and because they got that extra, you know, that extra little window of what they can do, they overdo it and they still struggle. They just believe that this time they can go up, but since they don't have to crunch back down as far, that it'll be okay. I'll just work harder in training camp. But sometimes it don't work like that. Stress is stress, and you know, uncertainty and all those things can happen, man, and it can throw you off. I've seen that happen. But like I said before, I was asking the question if the shoe was on the other foot. Let's change that from if the shoe was on the other foot to when the shoe was on the other foot. And I can kind of I'm going to give y'all a couple of examples so y'all can actually see what I'm talking about. And we'll go full circle and come back around to this Boots and Brian Norman situation. Let's use Tank. When Tank moved up to his 4th weight class, he picked a champion. They called him secondary champion, Reggie champion, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That champion is named Mario Barrios. And the only reason why I want to say champion is because when Canelo Alvarez decided to make his run for Undisputed, I always ask people, what did he start with? They wasn't calling it a Reggie, a secondary. They wasn't, no. He used that belt as leverage or whatever. So when Tank went up there and he did that, they said, oh, man, he fought the least. Oh, man, Mario, he wasn't no real. Like, they used but he fought a champion. Present day, right? According to the rumors, let's just say this rumor is real. Boots is going to go up and he's going to fight this guy, Yoenis Tellez. If that's the case. With Devin Haney coming up in his 3rd weight class, they allow him, not only did he not fight a champion, he did it under the guise of a former champion in Jose Ramirez, coming off of a loss. Not only that, he did it at a catch weight. But I recall when the shoe was on the other foot, and since Tank was the champion at 35, and Ryan wanted to fight him, he gave Ryan a pound. He gave him a pound so he wouldn't have to scrape down at 35. And I believe that was done to make sure that Ryan stayed disciplined. Make sure that he stayed focused. Knowing that if he missed a step today, he was going to be frying fish tomorrow. That's Ike Turner. You miss a step today, you're going to be frying. I think they did that to hold his feet to the fire. They still talk about that to this day. So when the shoe was on the other foot, when it came down to Tank, now in present day, Devin can move up, not fight a champion, not fight a dude coming off a loss, do it at a catch weight. And they were still talking about another catch weight. Until Boots decided to move up. Until the announcement was made, now they in the mess hall with their chest out, talking about they're campaigning at the full 147. I was like, is that great timing? Or is that cause and effect? I tend to believe the latter. Cause and effect. Boots move up, now they full-fledged 147. But nobody was saying nothing. I recall, let's move on to another one of my guys. Let's move on to Jermell Charlo. When Jermell Charlo wound up getting the Canelo Alvarez fight, he got the fight because it was supposed to be Jamal, but Jamal was not in the right headspace. We just seen Jamal come back. You know what I'm saying? He's in a much better place, sound way different, way more mature, right? But in the build-up, it was two things. When the shoe was on the other foot, it was two things that I can point out back then. One of those things was oh man, he ducking Tim Tszyu. Now this was the undisputed 154-pound champion who, unlike a lot of people, didn't just wait around for somebody to get 3 belts and then unify the last one. He didn't move up one time and wait for the other champion to go get the other 2 belts. He didn't do nothing like that. He didn't do like another champion who fought one time. Went over to Australia, fought one time and got all the belts. He didn't do that. He went around and fought for each strap. Thanos style. Thanos style. I believe we gotta look at it, but I believe he's one of the more recent examples of somebody who's done it the hard way. Going by one and picking up each one. Not waiting, not unifying when somebody already got 2 belts, when somebody already got 3 belts, not doing all that, not waiting to get a belt in the email that's really like a lower level belt than the one, because that's when the franchise was floating around. Not wait around, get an opportunity and unify. No, he did it the hard way. And after all of that, before Tim Tszyu had any kind of cachet, they said this man was ducking Tim Tszyu. But I'm like, hold on. You tell me anybody. You tell me anybody from 147 on down. Let's just say let's just say 140. 147 might be a stretch, but we can say 147. But if you had a fight on deck with Gervonta Tank Davis, right? Or if your name was in the hat for Gervonta Tank Davis and people called, they hit you up and was just like, yeah, we interested or whatever. Would you say that anybody that could come up and have a fight with Gervonta Tank Davis was ducking anybody if they decided not to take that fight to take the Tank fight? No, you wouldn't. No, you would not. It's just like if you can't say that anybody is ducking anybody else if they had a Canelo Alvarez fight and they decided to take it. Why? Because those are the quote-unquote money men, the money fighters, the big money. That's the bag. However, when the shoe was on the other foot, everybody and their mama, because Jermell Charlo nor Tank Davis, they don't follow under the boxers that's associated with the On Code committee. They don't get endorsements by the On Code committee. You don't have to stay on code when it comes to Tank. You don't have to stay on code when it comes to Spence. You don't got to stay on code when it comes to Jermell Charlo. There's a lot of boxers that you don't got to stay on code with. Like, you don't got, like, I'm seeing Abdullah Mason. You ain't got to be on code for Abdullah Mason. You ain't got to be on code when it comes to Richardson Hitchens. I can go on for days. You definitely ain't got to be on code when it comes to Brian Norman right now, since this is the subject matter. I'm gonna tell you who the boxers that are affiliated with the On Code Commission. I'm gonna tell you. But that was the first thing. He was ducking Tim Tszyu when he had a Canelo Alvarez fight. He was ducking Tim Tszyu when he had a, but Bud, he ain't ducking nobody. All that shenanigans with him trying to interfere with the Fundora fight and all that, when it was supposed to be Fundora and Spence, when he inserted himself and they were just like, yeah, he wanted all of that play, whatever that was. You know what I'm saying? When it was announced that he had it, there was none of that energy. There was none of that energy for any requirement for anything to happen down at 154 for Mr. Bud. But he got a Canelo fight, so that wiped away everything. Jermell ain't get that. Another thing, because of how, I guess you could say, how riled up the Charlos would be, Mr. Keep Running Your Mouth, the way they used to talk like two aggressive lions, leading up into the press conference when it came down to Jermell Charlo actually facing Canelo. Jermell Charlo was very I'm gonna say diplomatic. Normally he, Mr. Keep running your mouth, Mr. like rah, like, ain't, loud, rambunctious, all of these adjectives. You know what they were saying at the time? When the shoe was on the other foot, oh man, Jermell, man, why he being like that? Why he acting like this? Oh, he's scared. He got too much respect. Now that the shoe is on the other foot, up until something I seen today, Bud was on his best behavior, man. Up until the show, I mean, you got some other people, you got some WWE people, you got Dana White, it's a full-blown circus right now. So this is the most rowdy I seen Bud this whole build up, and I said, watch that same narrative that they have for Mel going into the Canelo fight. They ain't gonna have it. When the shoe was on the other foot, they had it. When it was Mel, it was all he sounds soft, he too polite. But up until today, Bud was on his best behavior when it came to Canelo. I was like, man, is this gonna be and just like the whole narrative, like seeing them sitting down having dinner, they like, oh man, I actually like that, man. They're professionals. But they didn't have that same energy when it was Jermell Charlo sitting down across from Canelo, when Jermell Charlo was trying to be professional going in there. When he was talking with respect, when he said there ain't no reason to do this and that, regardless, because I'm going to tell y'all a secret. Based on the performance, based on the outcome. See, once certain outcomes happen in boxing, people decide that they can run with something. But that don't negate the behavior all before it. That don't negate none of the shenanigans before it. I've been trying to tell people this for a long, long time. It don't. But that wasn't the narrative when Jermell Charlo was going up against Canelo. They were saying, oh man, he's domesticated. They was calling him a pussy cat. They was calling all this stuff. Not for Bud though. Oh man, I like them sitting down eating together, man. That shows, see, they professional. But then when Bud do the stuff when he push on them back, you see, that's what I wanted. But this two-faced. It's just like when Bud was saying that this weight class is for a reason, and he would never fight Canelo. They was with it. Yeah, man, this weight class is for a reason. The minute he said, you know what, I'm gonna go up there and see my thing. See, yeah, that's what we want. Is they flip-floppers. Flip-floppers. So when the shoe was on the other foot, like for their fighter, they flip-flop. I got so many more examples, man. I gave you the one about Tank. When he went up, he fought a champion. Devin don't got to do that. When he afforded Ryan an extra pound and he was on a rehydration clause, they lambasted him for it. But Devin get to do catch weight after catch weight. He don't even got to go up and fight a champion. They looking for Egyptian cotton caterpillar silk for this man in an opponent. They was advocating when he was out here in the mess hall with his chest out, looking for Jack Catterall. And I was like, look at his dimensions. He's the same size as Regis. No wonder. They didn't even, listen. This the other thing. When the shoe was on the other foot, even after all they lambasted Tank about this catch weight, rehydration, even though he afforded Ryan a pound, because he campaigned at 135. Even after all of that, they said nothing when it was found out that Regis program had a one-way rehydration clause. Why? Because Devin is affiliated. He's one of the boxers that's endorsed by the On Code committee. Yeah. Since he's part of the On Code committee, they are on code. They're not going to say anything about that. They're not. Y'all see where I'm going? So let's bring it full circle. When it came down to Brian Norman and Boots, when Boots and Eddie did that felonious offer to Conwell, they did that felonious offer to Brian Norman, which we gotta say Eddie, but since you on the team, that's your promoter, that's your guy. He regulates everything. Eddie's regulating everything. Like when Rachel came out and broke that information, we don't know what it's saying in your contract, whether you can pick and choose who you want to fight. We don't know, and that's a question I would love to know. You know, if I was an insider, you know, I wouldn't sit down and ask questions to anybody that we pretty much already know the answer to. You know, I would probably be a little more creative. You know what I'm saying? Not even on no messy stuff. But like, hey, Boots, man, do you have to fight whoever they put in front of you, or do you have any kind of say in who you want to fight? Because I remember when they asked Tank that, he said, listen, I never asked for these guys. He's like, I don't call out. He's like, listen, at that point in time, this is when he was pretty much going by whoever they put in front of him. Like, he would have a little say, I guess, because they always say that you get options. You got a couple options. You want this guy, this guy, this guy, whatever. You pick out of them, like, okay, yeah, I would love this one right here. So you might have a little say like that as far as an option, but when you're in the stage and you're being managed and you're being brought up and you're being developed, it's like you really don't have no choice. It's like, well, the company wants you to go this way, but you can go that way. If you look at what happened with Big Baby, Jared Anderson, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you could go do that. We ain't gonna say go stop your money, but he went and fought Bacole, which I thought was courageous as a boxing fan. Yeah, I wasn't in the room. You know, I don't know what options they had. I don't know if they told him, like, listen, man, we want you to develop more. You know, we want you to focus more before you go do something like that. But go and get your money, little duffel bag boy. So I think he had an option, but the company had a direction, and he chose to go get the money. And I already told y'all that a lot of time when these people go over there and get that Saudi, that turkey bag money, they start acting funny. There's been some funny things going to go get that money. So Boots got put out there by Eddie because he made an offer. It was a felonious offer, which we knew. But that's still a talking point people want to hold on to, which I say, hey, man, that's willful ignorance at this point. It's hindsight. I don't even know why. If he moved up and it ain't no talk, it ain't, if he moved up and he's not looking back, I don't even know why people are still talking about Brian Norman in the fashion as it comes to Boots. Because I'm still seeing videos about how the sparring was easy and he'll get him out there early and all. It's like, but I thought you moved on. Don't threaten us with a good time, because me, in my heart of hearts, I'm hoping that it ain't over. I'm hoping that, look, man, as fans, it's enough common sense out here. We could at least put out enough truth to where we can still get that fight. Why? Because I don't believe this man can't make 147 again. I don't. But Eddie did what Eddie does, right? And when Eddie did that, I was like, why is he doing that? Like, if you got the second coming of Roy Jones, why are you doing that? Why are you slandering another guy? Like, because that guy's, he building his fan base. He a star in his own right. You know, he is a champion. You can say what you want. They really just they not handing him out. They didn't even hand one to Devin. He still had to go over there and fight Kambosos for it. They didn't hand it to him. I mean, Loma handed him one, but that's a different story. But they just not handing them to you. You got to fight or rise the ranks, and then you might get one email to you, but you had to do something to get it. So like you just ain't going to get up off the couch and declare yourself a pro, and then they're going to be like, oh, here your belt. You still got to do something for it. So at the very least, you had to respect Brian Norman for something, because he had to rise. He had to fight. He had to be in position. He had to be a road warrior. He had to do something to get the belt. So I'm like, well, this is just another thing that Eddie do with his guys. So I didn't think nothing of it. So that was one. But when he missed when he didn't win the purse bid with Karen, that was a red flag. When he didn't, right? When the fight went on, I'm like, hold on, that puts you in a quagmire. Because now you got to pay that dude more money. I know y'all ain't going to let Boots go over there to his country and fight him because he's the star. He's the one y'all want to make the money off. He got a fan base, a nice size fan base in Philly, according to the numbers. Because Shakur and Boots had edged out Shakur in fan bases because they fought within a couple of weeks, and it was a nice showing, a decent showing in Philly. It was a decent showing in Newark. So he had a fan base, that was purchasing tickets and that was, supporting him. Both of those guys do. So I knew he wasn't going to do that. I'm like, this is not making no sense. I'm wondering how this going to play out. So after that was done, and Brian Norman, he had to go fight Cuevas, and then in between that, it was a mention of a Virgil and Boots, and Boots said nah. So I'm like, hold on. This is another one that a lot of people can't really answer without sounding dumb as hell. Because if you send Boots, if you say, let's just say this hypothetical offer, if you send this hypothetical offer over to Brian Norman, he say nah, and he gets slandered all online. Oh, you a duck. Even somebody that was affiliated with Charles Conwell was saying that he was a duck because Charles Conwell should have called his bluff. First of all, Charles Conwell was like, nah, man, I'm surprised that they thought that was my worth was. But we all knew that it was a felonious offer anyway. So you can't say that if you send Brian and them an offer and he don't take it, he a duck. But when Virgil send you an offer, you don't take it, you ain't a duck. Why? Because your reasoning was you wanted to be undisputed. And so that's when the benefit of the doubt comes in. So yeah, okay, it's like, okay, cool. We give you benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's still kind of weird. We give you benefit of the doubt. So then when you went to go do the Stan Giannis thing, we was like, oh, okay, he really real. He bought that life. He bought that. I went to the fight. I'm like, shit, I gotta see this. The last fight I went to was when Tank was in the Royal Farms out here in Baltimore. Before that was the last fight I went to. I said, I gotta go see that. That's right up there. I said, I gotta go. Stan Giannis, I gotta go see this. This is unification. This is history being made. I gotta go see this. So I went. I'm like, okay, so Boots is really, he really bought it. They gave him the grace the whole time. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm just focused on this fight. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I'm just focused on this fight. They gave him that grace. Brian Norman handled his business. The ball's back in Boots' corner. They put the mic back in Boots' face. And he said, I don't know why y'all talking about him. He ain't that good. Douse the fire in flames. So my question is, what if Brian Norman was out here sending offers knowing that he had a mandatory? Y'all would be roasting the shit out of him. What if Brian Norman was offered $5 million at a weight class that he said that he was destined to be going to, and he turned it down? Like the biggest fight, like the biggest op on his list, and the biggest payday for $5 million, to the tune of $5 million. I'm talking about a legit offer. Y'all would be lambasting him. Y'all would be roasting the entire shit. He would have to walk around with a diaper on. Because y'all would be roasting the shit out of him. So, what if Brian Norman unified, and then he was asked about Boots? He said, man, I don't know why y'all talking about Boots, man. He overhyped, man. That's Puss in Boots. And he don't say nothing. He don't send no offer. He want to be undisputed. But he don't go online like he did to make sure everybody know that the offer was sent. He stays away. His camp stays away. Every time you bring up something, they're like, hey, man, Ixnay on the Ixnay, man, sparring, man. You know what I'm saying? We pieced them up in sparring. Ixnay on all that, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Cut that out, man. You hating, man. Why you always doing that? Why you always hating? Y'all be roasting the shit out of him. So what if Boots say, you know what? Hey, this man, he ain't send me nothing. He's supposed to be the A side. They ain't send me no offer. They want to talk about sparring. They want to talk about this felonious offer. You know what I'm saying? Boots is like, man, Brian Norman and them, they tripping, man. They won't even say that they want to fight next. Let me go ahead and let me go get me a shot of gin and some sushi and get, you know what I'm saying, have a nice little back rub or something. You know what I'm saying? Take some pictures. You know, try to fatten up my fan base. Let me do something to make me a little more appealing and attractive. Y'all will be roasting this shit out of Brian Norman and them for doing that. Because it's weird how it was a minute ago. I said, man, y'all notice how Boots was radio silent? So what if Brian Norman had went radio silent? You ain't hear nothing. Y'all be like, y'all would be doing all kind of videos. The same way y'all do about Errol Spence. Where Errol Spence at? Where Jamel? When he come? Where Maul at? What Tank doing? Y'all be roasting this shit out of Brian Norman. If the roles were reversed. So let's just say, Boots say, you know what? I'm going to go get me a shot of gin. I'm going to have me some sushi. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my feet rubbed, my neck rubbed. I'm going to take some pictures. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get me some art. You know, I'm going to get me some artwork over there. You know, I'm going to have me a good time. And 3 weeks away, Brian Norman say, hey, man, sign up to fight me right now. Come on, man. Let's agree to fight right now. Y'all will roast the shit out of Brian Norman and them. You be like, man, listen, man, why you gonna wait till I'm busy? I got like, okay, all right, cool. We can do this next. We can do it next. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, you got my word for it. You hear Bozy come out and say, hey, man, you got my word. Soon as my hand get raised, let me go down this shot of gin. You know what I'm saying? Have me a bite of sushi. When the clock strike midnight, we can get it on. Because that fight is over. We be done handle business. It's on. Y'all be doing videos roasting the entire shit out of Brian Norman and them. So then Boots, he go in there and he look like Michael Myers in there. They actually got to bring out the stretcher. It's sushi all over the place. After the fight, they put the mic in his face. He call you out. But we gotta rewind. We gotta rewind. Why? Because it was flies in the ointment. Let's just say a week before they yelled ding ding ding, Brian Norman say, man, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm moving up. Y'all will be roasting the entire shit out of Brian Norman and them. Why right now? Oh, you got a fight on deck? You got something going on? I thought you won the undisputed. Y'all, it be videos. I thought Brian Norman won the undisputed. Oh, he only wanted half undisputed. He was like 50% undisputed. He just wanted he just wanted to take the little, like, he just wanted to take the little belt that he got elevated with and then go get another one. And he just wanted like half undisputed. He ain't really want whole undisputed. He just wanted 0.5 undisputed. He just wanted 1/2 undisputed. I can see all the videos because there's some of y'all that get real nasty when y'all don't like a fighter and how y'all attack them and what y'all say. Oh man, y'all would have Brian Norman. He would be in all kind of drag. He'd be in drag. They would be doing videos about Brian Norman in drag, bro. They will put his face like butt fuck tuberculosis. They'll put his face on a woman's body. They'll have him like, he'll be looking like, they might even grab Beyonce in her body and put Brian Norman's face on there. They will get nasty online. Stop me when I'm lying. It will get ugly. And then they come out and say, "Oh man, with my last fight, man, the sports scientist had told me that I was operating, you know what I'm saying, at 0.33%. Even though I had the nutritionist and I felt the best in my life and I looked astounding, even though I made my man quit on the stool in 6 rounds and I ain't take no punishment." Oh man, they be up Brian Norman ass with a flashlight and a magnifying glass. But since the shoe is not on the other foot, and Brian Norman is not a part of that on cold boxing committee, we not gonna be able to keep it a buck. It's funny to me, man, watching this whole thing unfold, man. And watching and seeing the inconsistencies and how people, it's a network of people. It's a network of people, man, who they just gonna be on cold for boots, man. The on cold committee turning down offers. It's a double standard. So if they send you an offer and you turn it down, you a duck. If they receive an offer on the same thing, because they was roasting Norman saying, "Oh, man, that's the highest payday of your life. This is the biggest fight of your life." But they get offered the highest payday of their life and the biggest fight of their life with a guy who they had history with in Virgil Ortiz, and that's not a duck. And then they can play us and say, "Oh, I used to want undisputed, but I didn't really want undisputed." But like now it's just looking like, and no, now I don't want to be like Errol Spence. I'm getting older now. I heard this one dude say that Boots is 28 years old, man. He getting old. I'm 28 years old. And you could tell they on code. You could tell they on code because they all say the same things. I'm telling you, it's like an email. I'm telling you, this pre-pro, it's almost like it probably gets sent to the Haney boys and it gets sent to Santa Claus with the white beard and shit. And then he tell all of the people that's up under his wing, that all of the people that come and sit on Santa Claus' lap, they put the message out. And then, oh yeah, we ain't gonna put Shakur on blast because man, he on code. Like, we on code for him. We not really just gonna say that was a real funny move about how you said you wanted undisputed, but you take your belt, you leave the label where it's 2 other belts and you don't go do a fight where the money fight and perhaps the fight where you say it's the biggest fight in boxing outside anything that Canelo Alvarez does, and you go sign with somebody else and you say, "Hey man, don't even try to negotiate with that dude with the other belt." They don't say nothing about that. They got to be on code about that. Every time it come up, I don't understand why y'all hating on Shakur. Hating on Shakur? Oh, okay. He part of that committee where you got to be on code, like Devin, like Boots, like Bud, like anybody with B&B, like Keyshawn. You can't say nothing about all of the crash downs, the meltdowns, the him using colorism, him trying to using all these gimmicks to promote fights, him pulling people down a weight class. At least Tank, that guy, he moved up. He went from 140, he moved up to 140, dropped down. He fought Leo Santa Cruz down there at 130. That's pound for pound shit. But he pull up two people, Hector Garcia, Lamont Roach. They bigger than him, naturally bigger than him. But Keyshawn, he get to pull people down. He get to pick people coming off, just like Shakur. He get to pick people coming off of a loss. A knockout loss. He was getting ready to fight Joe Cordina off of a knockout loss. That guy, Casey, the one who, I think for Ray Savage, he's going to have a hard time with Casey. I hope he take him serious. That dude he's actually all right. He's actually all right. But Keyshawn, he part of the on-code committee. Canelo is an asterisk besides Canelo. Because right now, you can say whatever you want about Canelo because he's fighting Bud. So you can say whatever you want. But before, when you keep it real on Canelo, like when I said, I didn't say he had he was a cherry picker. I said he had a grape vineyard. I said he had a grape vineyard, only it won't age like fine wine. Oh no, it's not. It's not. In the history books, yeah. But in real time, people that have been watching, people that have been allowing him to pick the guys that he's picking, and fighting the guys that he's picking, nah. Picking Berlanga and Munguia over somebody like David Benavidez, nah. Not giving Bivol the rematch, even when Bivol said he was going to do some Tank shit and move down to come see you, nah. Not to mention, when Canelo was getting ready to fight Macaboo, y'all call him, he's better known as MacBook Air. Like when Canelo had his eyes on going to go fight MacBook Air, Macaboo, they were like, yeah, man, why not? He a cruiserweight. Yeah, man, he could go do that. It was all good. But David Benavidez that porridge is too big. That's just too much. When that shoe was on the other foot, boy, I tell you, man, we just changed up all our standards, man. So right now, even though typically because he's perceived as the money and you don't want to offend nobody and you don't want to say nothing because it's going to mess up the business, especially depending on the channel. Like if you one of them channels, man, where you're, where you part of the Latin fan base, oh no. Any truth. Outside of this, any truth spoken on Canelo, outside of this, him going up against Bud fight, is slander. It's slander. Even some of them right now are showing their true colors, telling you the real deal and all of the stuff that they seen about Canelo because they want to be on code for Bud. Well, I'm like, hold on. So if this Bud fight wouldn't happen, you wouldn't be telling the truth on Canelo. Right. That's why I say it's just better not to do videos on them. It's just better not to do videos on them. The level of competition. See, when you on the on-code committee, they will justify the level of competition. They will justify somebody on their way out. Like they'll say, oh, like Kell Brook, like, oh, he wasn't shit. He's like, man, he had just got his orbital bone broken by a Triple G. He ain't, man. Earl ain't, man. Come on, man. But then Earl break the other one, and then when Kell Brook ain't got his manager because they didn't want him to take that fight, and they refused to let him have his trainer, and he hadn't been fighting in that weight class, and he pulled himself down, they'll make excuses for that level. When Amir Khan got knocked out, by Danny Garcia, he got knocked out by Canelo, they justified Amir Khan for that man. When Sean Porter, I just heard something today where Sean Porter, They were trying to say, oh man, he wasn't retired, man. Sean Porter was calling fights. Sean Porter was on his way out the door. They even got film where Sean Porter was at a calling a fight, falling asleep. They showed the man falling asleep. They even got his father on a Broadway Joel fight, where Broadway Joel say, man, they talking. He said, man, what you would have told me? He said, I would have told you, listen, buy the fight, but don't bet. Kenny said that. It was information came out where they said that this was the first time they had ever talked about what would happen if they ever had to throw in the towel. So they would justify the level of competition when you on there. They'll justify the level of competition and why he's this. They justify a man that had 11 fights. He got emailed his belt. He got emailed Jamel Charlo. You know, remember the stone collector? He got emailed his strap. And out of them 11 fights, he fought the same dude twice. You would have thought that dude was the best thing since sliced bread. They justified that level of competition when it was way bigger fish in that pond. They'll do that when you on, like Jose Ramirez being a 2-time former division. Like they justified that for Devin. Why? Because he was a former 2-time. They justified Regis Prograis because they said Mario Barrios was the weakest link because Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor was undisputed at the time. They said Tank went up there. He didn't fight the best. He fought the weakest link. They justified it when it was Sabril Matias, T.O., and Pitbull, I think, at the time. They justified Regis Prograis. They justified the one-way rehydration clause where Regis couldn't rehydrate but so much, but it was only one way. They justify that when you on that committee. They'll do that. Moving up weight classes, the protocol for moving up weight classes, like right now, they're gonna tell us. They're telling us right now. They're telling us right now. And I'm gonna use it like this. I'm gonna say, let's just say Brian Norman. He had the IBF. He had the WBA. He had the Ring Magazine. He got a guy who just knocked out in Boots. Boots just knocked out his opponent in devastating fashion. He got the WBO. It's history there. It's made. That shit could be pay-per-view. It would sell. Why? Because it's just add water at this point. It's already built up. It ain't no marination. You waited around. We gave you the benefit of the doubt, Brian Norman, because Spence and Bud, they was holding up the division. We gave you the benefit of the doubt, Brian. You got all of the benefit of the doubt that you was the next one up. Now Boots is over here. He done got his strap. He done went over in California and knocked the nigga out in front of his whole culture, his whole family. Squatted over him. He went and broke another dude down, hit another dude with a jab, and he was just like, no mas, man. I don't know what the fuck he just hit me with. I'm good, man. Hey, you got it. You got it, Boots. And then he went over there and got some sushi. Put a dude out on the stretcher. He's saying, look, you next. And now, Brian, you want to go up? Who you going to fight? Oh, yo, Ennis Tellers? Oh, no. It'll be slander all over the place. That's the moving up protocol. It will be slander all over the place. So you unified. You did all that. You unified. You got 2 belts and the ring, which is supposed to be given to the number 1 and number 2. That's what they was calling it because they slotted Stan Giannis at number 2. So you're gonna take your unification and then your next fight up. It ain't gonna be Bakram. Nah, it ain't gonna be Bakram. It ain't gonna be Fundora. Nah, it ain't gonna be Fundora. It ain't even gonna be Mel. It ain't gonna be Jamel Charlo. Nah, it ain't gonna be Jamel. Dang. It ain't even gonna be Keith Thurman. Nah, it ain't gonna be Keith Thurman. It ain't gonna be Lubin. Nah, it ain't gonna be Lubin. Is it gonna be Virgil? Nah, it ain't gonna be Virgil. Look, goddamn. Who? Xander Zayas. Nah, it ain't gonna be Xander Zayas either. Who is it? Yo, Ennis Tellers. Oh man, Brian, man, get the fuck out of here, Brian. What you get all this legacy salad for? What you get all these accolade soup and what you do all that for, Brian? And now you gonna go up there and get and tell us is he a champ? Or is he an interim champ? What is he? Nah, moving up protocol different. That's why I told you. See, the protocol for moving up, just like Bud, that it was Madrimov was cool. Right? Just like Devin moving up, getting the Jose Ramirez and then getting them at a catch weight. That was cool. They roasted Tank for Mario Barrios, and y'all see what Mario Barrios went on to become, right? But he was actually a champion. He was actually a champion. The moving up protocol is different. The negotiations, we talked about that. And then interviews. Y'all ever notice that like people get real raunchy? Like when you're not a part of the on code committee, right? They get real raunchy in the videos, in the interviews. It was one dude that tried to tell Brian Norman, man, show me the contract. Show it to me. Man, you let somebody ask Boots to be able to see one of his contracts, man, you might get shanked. So when you're not part of the on code committee, the interviews are actually interrogations. You get interrogated when you're not part of the on code committee. And these are all things that I be saying, man, when you're not part of the clan, when you're not part of the clique, when they don't send out memos and tell you, hey man, these are your talking points, man, you gotta echo that shit. Better echo that shit real good, man. And then listen, man. Look, we're gonna do this video. We're gonna do at least 3 of these videos this week, man. We're gonna show, shit, according to my numbers, shit, I got like 320. Well, not actually, because I bought like 80% of them. Well, I'm at least let about 5,000 people see this shit legit. I'm gonna program at least 5,000 people 3 times this week that Brian Norman duck. And then you with what you getting? You gonna, if I got 5, you gonna show your 2,000. The 2,000 people that's really locked in with you, you're gonna program them 2,000 people to start shitting on Brian Norman too. And then the big one, oh man, shit, we talking about 7,000. Yeah, we gonna send the memo over to the big one, man, and he gonna get at least at a minimum of 7,000. He gonna get like 3,000 hardcores gonna see it, and then 7,000 casuals gonna see this, where you just gonna slander the shit out of the Normans. All right, ready? Break. That's how it works, y'all. On code committee, I told y'all who it is. Devin Haney, Boots, Bud, and any boxer affiliated with B&B. I got Boots on there twice because it just sounded so nice. Keyshawn, part-time Shakur. Now they're gonna pick and choose. Like Shakur, he ain't all the way in there. It just depends. It just depends on who you with, whether or not. But half the time they on for Shakur. They on code for him. You can't call out his funny moves. Canelo, and it's an asterisk beside Canelo because he's getting ready to fight Bud. Like right now, it's open season. The minute this Bud shit over, if you don't retire or whatever, it's gonna go right back to where you can't really speak the truth on Canelo. And last but not least, Wilder. You could have never spoke the truth about Wilder. You could have never said that it was wrong. You could have never said it was wrong. And what he did. And that shit that happened with Mark Breland, and then him hiring somebody that he knocked out before, and then that shit that he did where you caught him twerking, and then the shit he said about eating the cup, the Twinkie filled with baby fluid, like none of that shit. You can never. And the fact that he fell in love with his power too. The fact that there were times when they were saying he didn't want to train. Like he might be like on his way out the door, but you could never keep it real. Those are the people that the on code committee back to where you cannot be honest about these people. When it come down to Tank, you can say whatever you want. When it come down to anybody Tank fight as far as opposition, you can say whatever you want. Whatever you want. Richardson Hitchens, you can dog him. You know what I'm saying? Sabril Matiz, you can say whatever you want about him, even though a lot of people's favorite fighters duck that man blatantly. Blatantly. I mean, you can say whatever you want with T.O. with, I mean, kind of like justifiable cause based on how he's been acting and what he's been saying. You can say whatever you want about him. You can pretty much say whatever you want about you, whatever you want to say about anyway, right? Unless you're Tim Bradley. Because I found it real odd that Tim Bradley ain't never said nothing about how, you know, they can stack gloves, and if it ain't no testing or if it is testing, he ain't never come out so adamant about Naoya anyway. Because I respect Naoya anyway. That's why I would never like, I'm like, listen, man, I don't know as far as what's going on, but I ain't never heard a man that worked for that company come out and slander a man like he did Brian Norman. I ain't never heard that, man. But I ain't never hear you keep that same energy about Naoya anyway. And Naoya anyway, one of my guys. He in my boxes to watch for sure. For sure. But L Dub was in the building, Cookie Monster was in the building, Latch Puma Skills was in the building, Easily Baked was in the building. Salute to all of y'all. AC, Blood Rush Entertainment. I'm a fan of, I guess that's supposed to be Brian Norman and Boots. Until Brian Norman Jr. become unified like Boots, then how much can him and his dad really say? I go with actions instead of words, and Boots has done more currently. Hey, man, however you want to make yourself feel better, man. All I'm saying is this. If Brian Norman, like this shows, if the boot was on the other foot, and I've given you prime examples of when people, they pick and choose too much, man. People flip-flop way too much. Their energy is not consistent. If Brian Norman was the one who did these moves like Boots just did, you can use all that fruit salad, accolade stuff, because I told y'all, let's go back to the dictionary. This is what they do. Told y'all about the dictionary, the Bodywork dictionary. On code, aka is on cap for whomever we're caping for. So you're on code for Boots. Check. For the culture, that's gaslighting using the demographic. Legacy, that's finagling accomplishments. So he just finagled some accomplishments to go do all this unification stuff, and he will come out and fight your Ennis Tellers, and ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Oh, he just getting his feet wet. You need to acclimatize. It's like, no, well, you can't have the Roy Jones moniker. You can't have the same thing. Like, come on, man. If the shoe was on the other foot, y'all would be slandering, man. Y'all would be calling it out. It'd be video after video after video calling this out, man. Don't gaslight me. I'm already lit. I'm already lit. But I knew this wasn't gonna get the congregation jumping for joy. I knew. But guess what? I still gotta put them stakes in the ground, baby. I still gotta feed your brain. I still gotta get you, like Michael Collier said, juice that noodle. I need you to juice that noodle, man. Use your critical thinking skills. Think outside the box. Stop being sheep. And keep the same energy, man. Cause I'm hearing a lot of stuff now, like people are flip flopping. I'm like, man, most of y'all do content. A lot of people, all the people I've seen, there's some people in the comment section that be having some good points and all that, but because it really be a sausage party, y'all know a lot of it be this right here. You could have somebody in the comment section, man, they going to work, they cooking, you know what I'm saying? But they just find themselves in one of these, a sausage party. Well, all they knowing that they just gawking and gawking. Oh man, well you know his last fight he walked on water, man. You know, yeah, man, and he parted the Red Sea right after that. So he walked on water, and then right after that he parted the crowd like the Red Sea, man. And then right after that Gatorade, he turned that into the wine, man. Yeah, man. Cause listen, he the best fighter in the world, and if he win this fight, he gonna be better than Ali, Sugar Ray, Hagler, Hearns, Roy Jones, all put together Transformer style. He gonna be greater than that. Sausage party, man. Sausage party boxing talk, man. We don't do that. We do not do that, man. That's unbecoming. You know what I'm saying? It's unacceptable. And I knew this wasn't gonna get the congregation jumping for joy. I knew it, but still, I gotta still put the stakes in the ground, man. You know what I'm saying? I gotta put the stakes in the ground. If the shoe was on the other foot, y'all would be slandering Brian Norman. Why? Because in a roundabout way, Brian Norman did everything he was supposed to do, and y'all still slandering him. But real recognize real. Tank came out, even with their past history and all that, sparring and all that, Tank came out and was like, man, he's a star. That's one of the best glowing endorsements, and that'll tell you how genuine somebody is, because even with the little sparring history, even though Norman was going all on Tank, and he'll let you slander Tank, but he was like, nah, we ain't gonna talk about the other stuff. Even though they did that with Tank, Tank still came out and said that man a star. And I be trying to tell y'all, man, a lot of y'all not gonna appreciate Tank until he truly hang him up. Sean Zattel kind of showed the telltale sign, because when he thought Tank was going, he's like, come on, Tank, you ain't gonna retire. You gonna really retire? Like, for we don't want you to retire yet, Tank. But he do the most slandering. Or politics. And it's wild how people don't like politics in boxing, yet they contribute to the politics in boxing. Yeah, it's a political system. Yeah. It's like an electoral college, yeah, to where the people, the masses, they're represented by a certain amount of people on YouTube. And the masses can say all they want, but if the electoral college, which means the people that make content, if they don't agree, they're not going to put it out. But if they do agree, they're going to stand in unison. And they're going to slander the shit out you. They're going to deflect. They're going to gaslight. They're going to act like they don't know. They can't recall. I can't recall. They're going to play both sides of the fence. It's a dude, man. It's a dude. And I noticed that the biggest channels, they be the best flip-floppers, man. The best. The best. They did it. They did it when Earl and Bud was doing it. They was flip-flopping. They do it all the time with Tank and Shakur. Flip-flopping. They do it with the Normans. They doing it with the Norman and Boots situation right now. Flip-flopping. They'll come out and tell you, oh, man, Boots, man, he been out here for 10 years, man. Well, but guess what? Just a couple months ago, I was basically saying, man, Boots, move up, man. Go ahead and move up and get your legacy, man. Get with the IBF. Go ahead and get Bakram, because you will have the juice, because Bakram just spiked Tim Tszyu. Move up. You know what they told me? Oh, man, they came out. And I know they be listening, because they had a broad go on their show talk about why everybody rushing Boots. Why everybody rushing Boots, man? I don't understand, man. See, it's crazy, man, because everybody want to rush Boots, man. Why they want to rush Boots? This was just a couple months ago. Literally, like just a handful, not even a handful of months ago. Oh man, why they rushing Boots? See, man, this crazy, man. See, man, why Boots? Why they don't respect Boots, man? See, why they want him to rush? He said he want to be undisputed. So now he say he want to move up. He want to drop all this shit. He don't want to fight Norman. He gonna move up. It's like, oh, well, yeah, man, he been there for 10 years. It's like they flip flop. They politicians, man. We ain't gonna get nowhere in the sport. Why? Because now whoever Boots want to fight, y'all gonna co-sign that shit. That's the same shit Bud just did when he 1 minute he said, "Oh, it's weight class for a reason. I'll never fight Canelo Alvarez." There's people out here that make content praising and worshiping this man. When the Canelo fight got announced, oh, but yeah, man, he moving up. He daring to be great. They said Jamel Charlo was stupid. Flip-flopping, man. I mean, I don't want to be down with nobody that bad where I got to compromise myself. Where I got to figure out who I'm going to be today when I get online. No. Y'all got to stop this, man. Y'all got to stop this, man. Because, look, I like with the Keyshawn shit, I said I had to get off. I was like, man, I liked him and all that, but that clout chasing shit he was doing with Tank, and I said, I told everybody. I said, look, man, he doing that shit right now. I said, he all that, yeah, I want to unify. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's the Devin Haney. They all said they want a legacy. To turn around and they said money. You know, the only one who out the gate said, I want to make the most money. Tank was the only one. Tank was the only one from the beginning that said, listen, man, I got people in Baltimore. I got people that's dependent on. I want to make the most money out the game. He happened to do some legacy things on his way up. They don't even give him credit for that. He was the only one that was straight up and said, I want the money. They shit on that man, and he getting to it. Everybody else come out, yeah, man, I'm legacy. I want to be undisputed at welterweight. I want to be undisputed at super welterweight, junior middleweight. I want to be undisputed at middleweight. I want to be undisputed at super middleweight. I want to be undisputed at cruiserweight. That shit be sounding good until they actually got to walk it out and do it. They be lying to you. Everybody was talking that legacy shit. Then Devin showed you he ain't really about no legacy. They about that munyon. Shakur, he was showing you he ain't really about it. It's about the money. I ain't never seen no champion chase his mandatory. Chase. I want that fight so bad. He really easy, but I want that fight so bad. Meanwhile, you saying that the biggest fight out here, you told your promoter don't even try to negotiate with the man. Tank was the only one that kept it 100. He was the only one that kept it a buck. I believe some of these young guys, they really want legacy. I believe somebody like Abdullah Mason, he ain't just saying it. He want legacy. And I said a long time ago, I said it's gonna be a family. It's gonna be somebody with a family name that's not concerned. The money's gonna come for them. They about legacy. They're gonna etch their family's name in stone, and the money is gonna come. Why? Because they do all the work inside the ring, and they let everything else settle it. Because when everybody talking, they want to talk about the Keyshawns all of the world. They want to talk about the Bud. They want to talk about all the salation shit, all what people got going on in their relationships, and all this outside extra shit. You know who name always come up in the conversation? Abdullah Mason. I'm like, well, dang, hold on, man. He live a modest lifestyle. He got a band of brothers. He post training. They're a unit. His name is popping up in the same conversation as everybody else. And guess what? He ain't messy. He ain't salacious. He get in that ring and let his hands do the talking. He don't clout chase. He said, I got an appetite for smoke. I'm ready. But his name is getting brought up in them same conversation. I be trying to tell y'all, half the shit that people be doing out here in this boxing stuff is because they think that's how boxing got to be promoted. But guess what? If you train hard outside the gym and all the shit that you train for and all the shit in your heart of hearts that you know you are, that shit will manifest inside the ring, and you're gonna be on a highlight reel. Now the Norman, he got some swag, but guess what? You know what's really gonna do it for him? The shit he doing inside the ring. The shit he doing inside the ring is gonna keep him relevant. Even if he get wild and crazy, even if, let's just say he get the big head, if he keep doing the shit that he's doing inside the ring, his name is always gonna be up there in the conversation. You're not gonna have to give, after he perform, after Tank perform, after Bam Rodriguez perform, after these motherfuckers, like the fighters that I like, after David Benavidez perform, after Tank performed, David Benavidez, Brian Norman, I would even say David Morrell. He got beat by David Benavidez, but after they perform, you ain't gotta teach nobody or tell nobody, oh man, see, look, man, because that was the sweet science, man. Nah, because you see, if you find yourself having to give somebody an educated, thorough, you know what I'm saying, cliff note, pull out your highlighter and notepad, let me school you to something, people don't give a fuck about that. People don't give a fuck about that, man. They don't care. You get inside that ring, you do your thing, and especially as the competition gets better, and you get better, and you rise up, and you doing the same thing to them, you ain't gotta explain the sweet science. And guess what? It's something I've been talking about for a long time, and that's what I be aiming for on my shows. When I do my shows, it's going to have playback value. It's going to have playback value. It's being demonstrated now because they get to watching. Look, they watching films right now, right? They watching films and watching people box and doing all this, right? When they come around to the shit that certain fighters do, ain't nobody saying nothing. They play that shit that Tank be doing. They play that shit and they watch it. People get excited again. As soon as they pop it in, that's what people want to see. You can go back in time, and you can go back like me in time. Every time I go back and watch the Isaac Pitbull Cruz fight, every time I go back and watch the Leo Santa Cruz fight, every time I go back and watch the Mario Barrios fight, it gets better and better because it's like right in the moment it was entertainment. But then when you go back and you look at it, the sweet science was on display all along. I heard some idiots getting mad. Because they welcomed the debate to debate Bud against Canelo, and then they got mad. Oh, see, that's all you ever talk about is Canelo's power and his power and his power. It's like, but y'all he got more than that. Canelo got more than that, and they was getting all upset. But see, they'll reduce somebody like Tank down to just being power. It's not about power. I've been told y'all, man, it was about speed, timing, and accuracy. Tank is one of the most gifted punchers in the game, if not the most. Because he's a little guy, but it's something about that little guy who knows how to deliver a punch in the time and how accurate he is that fucks you up. People don't recognize that, man. So I say you're not gonna appreciate him till he hang up the gloves. And he'll get a little bit of the Mayweather effect to where he won't get the full Mayweather effect. But he'll get a little bit of the Mayweather effect to where a lot of people started appreciating Floyd Mayweather a lot more once he stopped. Once he stopped boxing and retired, and they really went back and looked at what he was doing, they started appreciating him more. Tank is going to get a little bit of that. But it depends in this day and era, whoever holds the narrative, whoever has the biggest channel that's going to put out the dumbest shit and keep that flame going. You got to have people like myself, and there's a few other channels out here that'll put stakes in the ground for the guys that really need it. It's not the most popular. They don't get the most views. And people will say, oh, man, you just bitter. You just mad. You just the aerosexual. You just a tank maniac. It's like, nah, man. Somebody got to keep it a buck, man. It was a dude from Baltimore named Wood Stay Real. Wood Stay Real TV. One of the realest channels out there. I'm like, why this dude don't have as many views? Why? Because let's be honest, y'all. When people telling the truth and people keeping it a buck, it demands accountability. And a lot of people don't want to have no accountability when they go online. They want to feel like they at the bar, chit-chatting and shooting the breeze on some water cooler talk. And whatever popular, that's what we rolling with. Whoever we like or whoever can come over and sit and talk with us, or, you know, they might let us sniff their jock strap. Yeah, we rolling with that. Crush the Legend, salute. Cam J Network, salute. Bodywork, Coke, salute Bodywork. I'm collecting a lot of receipts soon. These casuals gonna learn. Recency bias is wild in this community, LOL. Half of these fans weren't even following the sport before 2018. Exactly, his twin, salute. Bodywork, salute everybody. But yeah, man, you know, I do that, Coke. You know I do that, man. It's just, you know, this I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna say this. If anybody got anything to share on this or want to speak, I'll put the link out, man. But just let me know in the comments if you want the link. Otherwise, I'm gonna say this. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Man. I'm gonna try to make it make sense, right? I'm gonna try to make it make sense for y'all. Listen, I had to do a lot like a while ago. I think I fully came in, ironically, I fully came into knowing this stuff when it was like the night of my 33rd birthday. I was turning 33. Ironically, I was turning 33, right? This is when it came full circle. It came full circle, and that's when I was just like, oh, I'm wide awake now. What I learned, right, is that a lot of the history, a lot of our, like, especially like a lot of our, I'm gonna say our history. If you know, you know. A lot of the times, right, we find ourselves saying, well, if this didn't happen and that didn't happen, why are they still teaching it in schools? Like, if this man right here didn't really discover this territory that we inhabit right now as such and name it that, why do they still perpetuate that? Why do they still teach that to our babies? You know, it's like, why do people still do that? Like, why do you still say that? Why do you still give this one man right here credit for discovering this place that we're in? Like, if I went over to Crush house, right, and I went in his refrigerator and said, oh man, I discovered this ginger ale, right? He might want to discover his strap, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying, try to pistol with me, right? Because you can't go somewhere and just like, but that don't stop them from perpetuating that it is what it is. Like, that don't stop them from teaching that in schools, right? You got to ask yourself why. So then once you get past the whys, because they want to maintain control. They want to maintain control. Okay, so apply that to YouTube. Like, if you realize that something is not true, right, and it's a bunch of people that keep saying the same thing over and over again, even when they know it's not true, is because they want to maintain control. So then the next step is to try to figure out how you're going to overcome that. What's going to be the solution, right? So you say, all right, well, it's another group of people who knows what really happened, right? It's another group of people that really know the real history, right? And so they say, hey, look, man, we got to come up with something, man. We got to come up with a curriculum. For one, they're so divided that they can't come together on their timeline, the opposite timeline. It's like F the timeline. Get the information out. Retweak it. But what happens is every time this other group of people start to get a curriculum together and start trying to get a uniform, guideline and timeline, and put this curriculum out to the babies so that they can know, the people who have control will disseminate false information. So the people that want to put out the correct timeline, it might not be pristine, it might not be all right and exact, it might not be perfect as a sphere, or as cut as a pyramid, it might not be that sharp, but at least it's a working thing. It's something that'll get you going. It's something that, okay, well, if you need some answers as opposed to those lies, if you need some truth as opposed to those lies, at least look at this. Every time they get ready to put it out, the people with the control to put out more false information. So the people that's getting ready to put out the curriculum, what they got to do? They go back to the drawing board and they got to publish something to counteract what the people that's already in control are doing. And what happens? You never get the alternative curriculum. Why? Because every time they try to put it out, they get distracted by trying to counteract what it is. It's like, no, just do it. Just put the curriculum out. It ain't gotta be all perfect. It just gotta be that truth. And if it's a little tweak, if it's a little fly in the ointment, if it's something there, okay, deal with that. But at least get an addition out. At least get a curriculum out. At least put something out there. That's what's happening in boxing, y'all. There's a bunch of people that have control over the conversation. There's a bunch of people that just want to, you want to talk boxing, but they got to have the control. They got to have the influence. It's like they will keep disseminating false information so much just to keep everybody, so that as soon as they do have something, that those people that they have in the audience will gravitate towards what they say, just to maintain control of an audience. When there's some of us out here that just want to put out the truth. Because what's crazy is a lot of them turn into hindsight as 2020 is why. Because you always realize, like all the people that I went to war with some heavy names over this Devin Haney and Tank shit, right? Where I always been on Tank's side, right? But they was on the Devin Haney side, right? But when they fully converted over and they seen that was some bullshit, you think they ever had a conversation with me? Nope. No. But that shows their character, not mine. That shows my character as well. Because I've been down. For the guys that I rock, and when my guys don't do something, like they do something out of pocket or they do something crazy, I speak to it. For me being out here in Baltimore, when I gave my breakdown, I said I had you high. That take guts being in Baltimore, but I kept it real on the topic. As much as I don't like how T.O. acted and all that, I kept it real on T.O. versus Devin and how, T.O. was getting mistreated and how he was getting undermined or whatever, because I kept it real on it. With that Tank and Lamont Roach fight, I kept it real on it. Everybody know Tank, that's my guy. But I kept it real on the topic. A lot of these guys I keep it real on. But a lot of people, man, they know the whole damn time that they telling a lie and they disseminating false information only for them to flip over on the other side and act like they had these eureka moments. Oh man, wow, I never looked at it like this. Like, nah, man, you lying, man. You looked at it like that the whole time, bro. The whole time you knew it. Why? Because that's more information, that's more videos and things like that to where they can go back. But they do it to me all the time. They do it to me all the time, except for they'll use the stuff that I put out to do current videos, but they'll just add or flip or twist whatever that they got going on to fit their narrative now. I'm trying to tell you, it was two channels. It was two channels that came out. They came out. They did this video. They did this video right here. This one. If you wasn't here for this one, It's got mad traction because I did it right after Tim Bradley made the statement. But if you go back and look at this and you go look at some people that did recent videos, this right here, go back and look at this global warming, and then go back and look at this boxing's most dangerous, and then look at the videos that came out after this global warming, and tell me they ain't saying the same exact thing that was in here. The same exact thing verbatim, except for I don't have no affiliation with the boxer. So how do I know this? How was I able to put all of this together in a timeline and call it out in real time? It's why, because I know I pay attention and I care enough to let everybody he who have ears hear, let them hear. I care enough so that people who really want to know what's going on, so they not tossed like Bob said, like a rock. When he said fans could be just tossed around like a rock and they'll say that. But they ain't gonna never admit that they heard it and they watched it and they copied it. That don't matter to me. You know what matters to me? The influence. The fact that, see, it's some things that's so strong and so true and so pure and so truthful, you can't help but acknowledge it, man. Are there errors? Are there omissions? Yeah. It's always, because there's a human element involved. You might say a name, but you're thinking about somebody else and you say that name. I catch that sometimes on my recording. Yeah, it's human element. But when you are pushing to be somewhere that somebody can go and actually hear an honest opinion backed by facts in a logical sense type way, that's this channel. That's this channel, man. It won't help me at all to get out here and lie to y'all. It don't help me at all to try to tear down Boots just to build up Norman, or to try to tear down Norman just to build up Boots, or to try to tear down Devin just to bring up Shakur. It's like, no, that don't benefit me at all. These are the youngins to me, man. I'm 44. Why would I try to tell them that's the future? No, but I'm going to keep it a buck on them. Some people talk boxing for their ego. The fighter, they could never be Ness, Biz, Punch, South, Big Season. Others do it for the love of the sport and admiration of the dedicated fighters. Exactly, man. I think that, it's much like people when they go into being pastors and stuff. I think that they start off being pure. I think they start off with pure intentions and wanting to, just for the love, and then they figure out, oh, this is a business, and then they start acting like it's a business. See, I can't see, it'll mess me up if somebody be like, oh yeah, but yesterday, Body, you said, or Mike, yesterday you said this, and today you saying that. It's like, no, unless some information has come out, or something has changed, or there is new developing information. Because yes, we evolve as the information evolves. But I cannot sit up here and say this knowing damn well that I will be contradicting myself tomorrow when I come out, because that's part of the game. I can't do it. But I've noticed that the bigger you are, the better you are at doing it. The bigger you are, the better you are at doing it. You can flip-flop between Tank and Shakur. You can flip-flop between Bud and Spence. You can flip-flop between Norman and Boots. I just seen people do it. I just seen somebody do it. They came out and was shitting on Brian Norman because somebody paid them to do it. They don't even have all the facts. They never go over these key points. They sit around for hours talking boxing, but they don't go over the key points. They want to talk about all kind of shit except for boxing. when it come down to you asking, and then if you ask a question, a straight up question, oh man, that's it, you're out of here, I'm kicking you out. What you kicking me out for? To ask you to address something that I'm thinking that you kind of like bullshitting me on. So now I'm the troublemaker. So they came out, they was shitting on Brian Norman, right? And then the next day they came out and was praising Brian Norman because Tank said he was a star. I'm not a star. Somebody lied, I got it in the car. Anyways, man, y'all know that I'm dedicated to this, man. I might not come out, like I said, this is not McDonald's or 7-Eleven. This is more like that bookstore, man, back in the cut, where if you want something special, you want to grow in certain areas, you want to develop, you want to come up, that's what this is, man. This ain't Walmart. This ain't a one-stop shop and all that, you know what I'm saying? If I don't care to talk about you, if I don't want to, if I don't have anything good, I won't do videos about you. I'm going to call the fight. I'm going to make my judgments based on sound logic and reasoning and current events and me watching your behavior, watching your moves, judging you accordingly. And the last thing I'm going to say is, man, it's crazy how a lot of these boxers, like I say this all the time, like Boots, when you're comparing them to Roy Jones, oh man, they love that. They love and admire that. But then when you ask them to do things like Roy Jones, it's like, oh man, you hating. It's like Shakur. They love when you compare them to like a Floyd and all that, and they get all of those praises and all those things, right? But then when you ask them to do Floyd type things, like, oh man, come on, man. Like you ain't never made, then your personal income and how much money you made and how you ain't never seen this, then all that kind of stuff come into play. That's how you know when hit dogs holler, man. That's how you know when you hit a vein, man, when they start talking about your personal and, oh man, you ain't never made that much, or you on fight. When they start talking to you because you do content and they start saying, well, for somebody ain't never got in the ring, but I've been to combat. I've been to Iraq. I repelled out of helicopters. You talking about busting a gun? Yeah. Hostile territory? Yeah. Play football, contact. Like, but that's different though. They moved the goalpost then. Anyways, man, the Cash App is right there. Is Arson42. Support the channel, man. The super chat works. Ever since I got monetized, I've never lost it. I just find it odd that I could do a video, right? Nobody want to support me, right? Somebody come right behind me and do the same exact video. And everybody giving them money, man. It's like, man, that's the only part that kind of be like, ooh, man, like, and they ain't gonna feel bad about it. Support the channel, man. Cause I'm gonna tell y'all what's gonna happen. Just like that guy Would Stay Real, man. I think he wound up passing away. And it wasn't, I was watching him for a couple months, but it wasn't, the content wasn't that consistent, but it was kind of consistent. And I didn't realize, like, right to the tail end. I think I had only been watching him for a couple months, and then it was a drop off, and I found out that the man passed away. But he was keeping it real. I'm trying to tell y'all, man, it's gonna come down to a point in time, right, where there's not gonna be any channels that's just gonna keep it a buck straight down the middle. Why? Because it's not gonna benefit them to stay doing the shit. Because nobody's gonna support them. Nobody's going to support them. They're going to support the big channels because they get the interviews and all this, and they steal all the little people stuff. Like, it's just like these record execs. It's just like the record execs. Like, when you go back and you look at Jay-Z and how he had Memphis Bleak and how he had J. Cole and how he had Benny Siegel, but they didn't survive and he did. Well, guess what he was doing the whole time? Borrowing, infringing, using, usurping, That's why that's why the big ones stay big. Why? Because they'll come over, they'll sneak a peek at your shit, they'll sneak a peek at that shit. I heard a dude say it the other day. The dude, I just heard this dude say this, and this how you know they be doing that shit. It was just like, it was a dude in this chat, and he said, "What's up?" in the chat, right? And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, I be watching your shit." He's like, "I don't say much, I don't be saying much, but I be watching. Yeah, man, you keep doing your thing." It's like, yeah, because he's watching your shit to vampire your shit. Support the people that's really doing it and really doing it with pure intentions, man. Doing it for the right thing, doing it for the longevity of the sport. That same creator basically said, "Man, don't be trying to tell me you doing this for the longevity of the sport." Why? Because they don't give a fuck. Relevancy is the new drug. They just want to be heard. They want to feel love, and that's the only place they get it is online. I just want to put it out here, man, and ask y'all a question, man. Like, and this is how we need to look at it. Just like when you involved in something, right? Just like when you be involved in something and things are not going your way. A lot of the times, you know, like, let's just say you're in a relationship and something's going on, and you ask your significant other, "Hey, well, if the shoe was on the other foot, how would you?" That shoe on the other foot make you look at things totally different. So if we were to swap out Brian Norman, right, and put Boots in his place, and then we evaluate the moves. But you gotta have the truth. Would the reaction be different? Absolutely. Absolutely, man. But salute to the 300, man. Salute to Cold Key, L Dub, AC, Cookie Monster, Easily Baked. Crush the Legend was in here, man. Get with Large Puma Skills was in here. I knew some people wasn't gonna stick around, but I'm not gonna hide the truth and put the light up under. I'm not gonna hide the light, man. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna put it, and I'm not gonna compromise, man. I'll be here. And what happens is, over time, once people get tired of being lied to and all that, they wind up over here. You know what I'm saying? They wind up coming over. You know what I'm saying? Some people take time. But I appreciate everybody, man, who took time to watch this out. If you catch this on the playback, holler at me. Talk to me. I'll talk back. This is Fruits and Veggies, not that Reggie. This is fact-based content, not opinion-based, even though I have mine. Silence is consent is the motto, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for grown men and women to remain silent. So we speak to these things. You know, we not on no low-level energy, man. People are like elevators. They'll take you up or they'll take you down. We going all the way up. Thanks for tuning in here at Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.